Welcome to Mastering CS Candid Leader Insights, the podcast where we dive into the world of customer success with industry leaders. I'm your host, Irina Cismas, and today I'm joined by Vlad, CS Team Lead at Help Samurai, a platform that helps healthcare organizations build and scale interoperable clinical data systems. Vlad, I'm really happy to have you here. Thanks for joining.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You work with healthcare organizations that are building clinical systems on top of 8box. And I hope I didn't get it wrong. But I want you to tell me more about what does Help Samurai app do in general and paint me a picture of what CS looks like in that world. For the people who do not know what is the app doing in your world, tell us more about it.
Yeah, it's not really an application, it's rather a platform, like a platform. We are doing all the technical heavy lifting for all the teams and companies building software in healthcare space. And specifically, we are sharpened to work with the FIRE standard. FIRE it stands for Fast Healthcare Interoperability Resources. And basically, it's a standard describing how patient data, all the medical data is supposed to be shaped, stored, transferred, used, and everything around it. So basically, what we do, we provide the database with a set of predefined APIs that can be later used by our customers, and so that they can focus on developing their specific applications and solutions on top of it.
And in this world, what does customer success mean exactly?
Yeah, I'm not even sure it's unified within the market. So I'm solely going to be talking about how it works in at our company team specifically. So I think the general idea is the same. The main goal is to help the customer reach their goals, to make them successful with our product, and to make their product successful, leveraging our solution as well under the hood. And so that's the main goal. But then probably in my world, it differs from the common customer success because most of the teams I'm working with, they consist of technical people. These are engineers, architects, DevOps engineers, a lot of, product managers. And our solution is pretty complex technical solution as well. So one of the biggest thing here is that we have a lot of deep technical conversations, have a lot of support. So it's not that I just have some support team under us that I delegate the tasks to, but rather the whole customer success team. We have managers like myself, we have engineers of different specialization. And one of the biggest things is that we need to dig deeper into the technical nuances of the challenges and solutions the customers are building. And we need to have a big technical and domain expertise, not only to help the customer understand how this or that feature in our product works, but to drive them in the world of the FIRE specification and to explain how it's supposed to work and find best practices, help them design their solution, not only from the perspective of leveraging our product, but from the whole technical perspective as well.
And in that setup, what do you spend most of your time on?
It's a good question. Communication of all kinds. We have a lot of regular meetings with customers, not only Q&As, but also some architectural sessions. I would even say design meetings. A lot of communication via chats and support channels we have. Because of the complexity of the solution and of the domain, usually the learning curve is pretty steep. And when we have a new customer aboard, it's not only that they need to figure out how our solution works and how they can get on with it, but they are usually also new to the world of fire, to the world of the medical standards as well. So we kind of help them to learn that as well. And the remaining part of my work is focusing, like trying to figure out customers' needs, priorities, goals. And because we're mostly, like, our product is driven by the specification, by legislation, compliance requirements, stuff like that, but mostly by customers' needs, customer cases. And it's really crucial for me as a customer success manager and for my team to really understand what the customer is doing, what their goal is, what are the pain points, challenges, stuff like that. And like, we try to collect the info from them. We're trying to find the patterns. For example, if a customer comes up with a question, we try to figure out whether the question was asked before, how other customers address the same challenge, stuff like that.
In most CS roles, success is mainly about adoption, getting people to use the product. I'm curious, what is your definition of a healthy customer? What are
Yeah.
you tracking when it comes
Yeah.
to adoption metrics? Or how does success look like in KPIs and numbers and in metrics that you are tracking on your side?
Yeah, we also have product usage analytics, and we track what customers use, which features, because it's definitely important. And one of our goals is to make sure the customers are using all the available tools. And it's not even about upselling, because most of the features that are already included into the core product, it's rather about making the customer stick to our platform more. First of all, because we provide them with the best solution out there in the market. And second of all, because it just takes off a lot of burden from customers' shoulders. So instead of trying to, I could say, maintaining a lot of internal tools and toolings and different systems, different products, they can get more just from using our platform. So it's one thing. Apart from that, we're tracking how close the customer is with us, whether we are aligned on the executive level, whether we understand their goals, their priorities, whether we understand their needs, and like, we track all of that. The communication and engagement is crucial here, because if a customer is not talking to us, if the team doesn't ask the questions, in some cases it can be all right. Maybe they already completed the development and just transitioned to the production stage, and they don't need much help. They just maintain what they got. Usually it means one of the two things. It's either the customer is trying to figure out a lot of things on their own, and it's not good for us either, because usually if the people are not really experienced in this space, they start making mistakes that were already made by others, and we could have helped them in the first place to avoid those if they came up to us with it. Or the customer isn't really using the product, because of the sheer complexity of the product, it's impossible to figure out everything on their own, and it means that they're not using it to the maximum, so to speak. And yeah, maybe the last thing here is to understand the customer's progress, whether their implementation is on track, whether they are behind. And yeah.
I know that you've been building the CS processes, helps them right from the ground up. When you are doing that inside a deeply technical company, where do you actually start?
I think I've spent quite some time without trying to build the processes, but rather observing how everything works, everything works inside our company, the interactions between the teams internally, how everything works on the customer side, and trying to understand the patterns, how different customers behave, what are the similarities, because we have companies that are building very different solutions in different spheres within the health tech space. And once I figured it out, I started to align those two, try to align the customer's patterns with our internal patterns, and then come up with some processes. Because one of the things, when I was starting out, I just had a couple of managers like myself on the team, and we started building the team just as well. The standard customer success team is their managers, and then you have a technical team next to you that you interact, and that I know that solve the support issues and help you with some technical expertise. And one of the first things we did was to reshape the team to include engineers into our team. And they are not just support engineers, they are exactly customer success engineers. So they go to the meetings with us, they consult customers right on the call. If a ticket is raised, an issue is raised, it's not me who trying to reproduce it and then escalate it to the support team, but it's the engineer who is looking at whole the whole path, at the whole customer's path. They know the customer's need, they know what customer is trying to do, they know the product from the technical perspective, and then they figure out the issue and come up with a solution that addresses the root problem, why the issue happened in the first place. Is it a bug? Okay, if it's a bug, we need not just fix it right here. The first step is to help customer, obviously, but the second step to address the root cause. So we need to fix it this way so it doesn't happen again. If the customer couldn't figure out how something works, like why is it? Is it the feature design? Is it the lack of documentation? So then we go and create the documentation and change something. So the building processes, customer success processes in my company, at my company, first was that the team is cross-functional, so it's not
Mhm.
only managers but also engineers. Second thing, the support isn't separated from us, it's within the team. And maybe once we grow our customers base, I know, to 1,000 of customers,
Mhm.
gonna change, but for the time being it works the best, because the developers who are developing the product, developing the features that are focused on the features, and we are focused on helping the customer. And then try to find the patterns and automate everything that can be automated. Definitely improving the documentation. It's our focus, and we are driving it. And basically, all the minor, every customer's question, he probably is going to end up reflected in the documentation and in the form of some guide. Probably that's it. Sorry,
One
I
more
started
thing
rambling.
you
Did I answer
mentioned,
your question?
no, I wanted to, there are a few things that I want to dig deeper based on what you've told me. First is about the cross-functional dynamic, because I heard you speaking about the engineering, about the support that basically sits in the same engineering support and CS work like a cross-functional team, and there are strong synergies between those three teams or roles maybe.
Right.
What about the sales team? Is there any, how does the sale part happening? Is it like the traditional handover between sales to CS? How do you land an account?
Yeah, it's a good one. So it depends. We work pretty closely with the sales team. We have weekly meetings dedicated to only our interaction, but we also sync daily on our stand up. And sometimes it's the traditional handoff takeover dynamic. For example, if the lead during the pre-sales stage didn't have that many questions, that many challenges, and the sales team was able to address all of those without asking for external help, then eventually, first of all, we would still know about the progress, because they share their progress daily and weekly with us. And if something is coming up, usually I know about it in advance, weeks,
Mhm.
times months. But definitely, once we sign the customer, we do the traditional handover meeting where we collect all the data. However, usually more frequently, we start working with the customer before, like during the pre-sales
Mhm.
stage, because usually, again, because of the complexity of the domain, they come with questions that can only be addressed like by our team. So sometimes we go to the meetings with the prospects, with the leads, and do the demos, answer their questions, stuff like that. They start raising the support questions and they immediately land into our inbox as well. We sometimes, not sometimes, usually we create a support channel for all the prospects just to make sure their evaluation process is going smoothly. And this is all done by customer success team. Yeah.
The second thing I want to dig into is the automation part,
Mhm.
because and somehow I was expecting that automation is one of the things that is on the table when it comes to CS to improve, I would say, productivity, to free up the time. And I'm assuming that AI is also involved when it comes to this. So, what's the combination between AI tool stack systems that you are using to basically help free up your time?
Yeah.
And what are your AI use cases? Because this is a very hot topic and everybody wants to learn from the others. How are they leveraging the AI? And I assume that it's more than summarizing the meeting notes to your case.
But I'm gonna be honest, a couple of years ago when the first note takers, AI note takers came up to the market, it was a big change instead of
Indeed.
having to write those manually. Yeah, first of all, everyone's talking about AI, and I think sometimes ad nauseum that people get tired of talking of it. So we in our product we do not push it, and rather we understand that our customers are going to be leveraging AI tools and agents, and we are just trying to make the product that is optimized for that, meaning that whether you're a senior engineer or a white coder, you will be able to use it. And internally, speaking of automations, the first thing here is security. And I think in multiple cases, we cannot leverage AI tools just because it would get access to the sensitive customer sensitive data. It's a reasonable limitation, which is all right,
Okay.
which is great, I would say.
Okay.
However, I'm gonna share one specific use case
Mhm.
where we gain most of the value from. It's testing customers' issues.
Okay.
So we're using an agent for that. We created a bunch of skills. And basically, once a new ticket is created, an issue is raised, the workflow is triggered, and the agent on its own goes and tries to reproduce the issue, like to spin up the
Yeah.
environment, go through all the steps, and then it returns the really exhaustive report, which
Mhm.
explains what it did, what was the result, what were the findings, whether the bug confirmed or not. If it's a bug, then where the problem is in our code base, in our code repository. It proposes like potential solutions. It proposes workarounds, immediate workarounds, and it tracks whether the behavior is well documented or not, and also propose
Mhm.
some enhancements and changes here. So you can imagine if a customer says that something doesn't work, first of all, you have to figure out what they did exactly, what they used. Then you need to, after you collected the details, you need to spin up the environment. You need to go through all the steps. If you're able to do it, if you're successful, then you go to your engineer, explain everything, or you create the
Yeah.
ticket, and yeah, the same flow. They need to look into that. They need to figure out the issue. Then they need to go to the code base, find the problem, come up with a solution, address it. I know, return back to me. I return back to the customer. So even sometimes it takes you to reproduce the issue, I know, 30 or 40 minutes. Then you have to wait for the engineer's response. Then you get back to the customer. Sometimes it's hours, if not days, depending on the complexity. Now, like, I get response just in 10 minutes. And obviously, you cannot trust everything the agent does. So you have to validate it. But in, I think, 95% of all cases, you can get something to get back to the customer just in minutes instead of hours. And then obviously you still create the task for the engineer to address the issue, but it speeds up the process tremendously. And yeah, one of the things. And sometimes it's also great for pattern recognition. So like when we roll out the new feature, new solution, you can run some agents to prepare research for you to find, I know, in our internal database, if we already had similar use cases and stuff like that. So yeah.
You have a unique setup, and so your CS setup is unique. The way you work, the way you interact, and it's tailored to the industry that you serve. And I know that you've been in other industries as well. You came from e-commerce, you were coming from SEO analytics. Now you've been exposed to the healthcare part. If you have, if you had to rebuild a CS team from scratch with only 3 people, what roles would you prioritize first? What would be important if you were the first hire in a company?
Yeah, in my space, I would definitely have someone with technical background. It can be an engineer, it could be some solution architect, someone with a solid technical background to be able to talk to the customer on their language, in their language. And the other two would be customer success managers, but even hiring people on my team, we are focused on more of versatile specialists, meaning that the wider your experience is, the more of a technical background you have is going to be better for sure. And one idea that I stole from one of my supervisors is when you create a new team, it's great to have every member of the team to have their own like super ability, some superpower.
Superpower.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're trying to do that. For example, I was hiring a new manager to our team, and one of the things we wanted to improve was the upsell process. And I looked specifically for someone with a solid upsell background to be able to enhance us. If we're talking about the engineer, technical person, they also have their set of superpowers that can be helpful. So yeah, I would say like that. So to summarize, technical person, people with versatile skills, and everyone has superpower.
And now the last question. You've been serving different industries, and e-commerce and SEO is quite different from healthcare. What was the hardest thing for you when you joined the company? What was the thing that you needed to adapt the most to?
Yeah, to me, it were definitely two things. First of all, the technical part of the job, because before that, I was talking to marketers, product managers, project managers, sales maybe. And now my main audit, my my customers usually are engineers, and not juniors, not junior engineers, but usually engineers with a lot of experience and deep knowledge. So yeah, I had to learn their language, and it was new to me. And basically, I even went an extra mile and started learning a bit of programming, not to be able to do that, but just to understand my customers better. And the second part was the healthcare domain itself, the domain of healthcare medical standards, because it was completely new and it was something I've never heard about.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, first of all, I needed to dive deeper into this world and figure out how to even read the specification and work with it to be able to now learn customers, to teach customers to do the same.
Vlad, this was a really interesting conversation. CS in a world where your product is someone else's clinical infrastructure, it's a different kind of responsibility. And I think that came through in how you talked about your day to day work. Thank
Right.
you so much for joining me and for sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you for the great questions.
And to everyone listening, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and mastering customer success.